Hello, my beautiful people. Let's make a tasty, hearty, effective, yet simple kale salad. Are you ready for this? Let's get to it. So, if you don't know by now, I am a recovering vegan. I'm no longer vegan, but I still try to eat as healthy as possible. And it's one of those days where I can't find much in my fridge, but I'm gonna just take what I got and make it work. So, I have some white quinoa, I have 2 bags of kale, I also have 2 corn on the cob, and yeah, let's figure out what we can do with this. We're gonna make a kale salad. So let's start with the quinoa. This is my method for making quinoa. I start off by heating up my pot, get it nice and hot while I rinse my quinoa. It's really important, people, to rinse your quinoa. Put your hand in there, wash it out, let it drain. And then when your pot is nice and hot, that is when you're going to add it to the pot. So while I'm waiting for my quinoa pot to get nice and hot, let's pressure cook some corn. All right, so we're pressure cooking it because we don't want to spend too much time. This is fast food, right? So pop it in your pressure cooker, and then you're going to add your quinoa to the hot pot. You kind of spread it out in there as evenly as possible, and you're going to leave it for a little bit, let it get nice and toasty. Now, probably about 2 to 3 minutes in, you're going to start to hear a popping sound, a very subtle popping sound, and it's going to smell like popcorn, right? That's what it's going to smell like. That is when you're ready to add your water. So you just toss that up and then add, if you have 1 cup of quinoa, I would suggest adding probably about 1.5 cups of water, right? Not too much water, just enough to cover the quinoa. After you add your water, you're going to lower the heat and cover your pot, but do not cover your pot completely. Leave a little space for that steam to come out. Good. Now, simultaneously, while all this is happening, you have to soak your kale. I soak my kale with some vinegar. You can soak your kale with vinegar and baking soda. You can even soak your kale with some pink Himalayan salt. Just soak it to get any impurities out of there. Soak it for at least minimum 15 minutes. After those 15 minutes, this is what I found. I need some protein, but not that badly. All right, so next we're going to take some almonds. You can also use walnuts. Either walnuts or almonds are good. The almonds bring a really nice taste to this salad. I am being super lazy. I'm putting my almonds in the food processor. You probably should chop it up by hand, but yeah, I'm just being lazy. And afterwards, if you see that there are still some big chunks in there, you can take those out and chop those up by hand. But I would suggest using the knife. I was just being lazy and using the food processor. But it still worked out fine. It took just about 15 minutes for my quinoa to be done. All the water was gone, and you just take a fork and fluff your quinoa. And you can add some salt here if you want. I added some pink Himalayan salt, not much. I also added some sesame oil just to give it a little extra flavor. But you can add anything you want to your quinoa, or you can leave it completely plain to soak up the flavors of the kale. At this point, I suggest you take your quinoa out of the pot and put it aside to get cool. Next, let's chop our kale for the salad. So you're just gonna take the leaves off the stalk. You can keep your stalk for another recipe, or you can keep your stalk for juicing, or if you have no use to it, you can, I don't know, find a way to repurpose your stalk. Find a way to repurpose your stalk, okay? But yeah, so you're gonna take it off of the stalk and you're gonna just scrunch everything up into your hand. Just scrunch it up and chop it up. And yes, I know scrunch is not really a word, but you get what I'm trying to say, okay? Now, after you chop it in one direction, pivot and chop again. Add it to the bowl and do it again. Do it again until you got a nice big bowl of chopped kale. So while I was chopping, I paused to take my corn off of the fire. It was pressure cooking for about 15 minutes and I know it was done. And I also paused to make a quick salad dressing with these ingredients. And I also forgot I added honey in there as well. Just shake it all up and you've got your dressing. So your kale, what you need to do is massage your kale with olive oil. After you've chopped your kale, massage it with olive oil. You really cannot skip this step. It's very important. Drizzle olive oil all over this kale. Use your hands to massage it, rub it in. It's going to make your kale so much easier to digest. Next, why use canned corn or frozen corn when you got the real thing? Yeah, so good, so good, so good. Just do what you gotta do. Gather all the corn to put in your salad. Now, it was at this point that I realized that I may have missed a few steps here. I may have forgotten to show you that I chopped up some tomatoes as well. And I may have forgotten to show you when I added everything together and tossed it up. But you can use your imagination, right? I have not filmed in such a long time, but I forgot to film the part where I tossed it all together. But everything is in here. Your quinoa, your almonds, your corn. I added tomatoes. I added a little bit more olive oil, a little bit of pink Himalayan salt, and I tossed that all together. And all that's left to do now is add your dressing and enjoy. Okay, so I have not done this filming thing for quite some time, and I may have missed some steps here, like when I tossed everything together, but I'm just so hungry that I forgot to film a couple parts of this. But yeah, this salad is awesome. It is. Trust me, it's awesome. All right, it doesn't even need the dressing, but we made it, so let's add it, right? Just a little bit, not too much. If you like lots of dressing, then you do you. Okay. All right. See you later.